Canada, the world's second largest country after Russia, might split up as early as this year, with one of its provinces, Alberta, expected to hold an independence referendum in October 2026. Alberta, the most conservative of its provinces, with a population of roughly that of the Republic of Ireland, has just taken this giant leap towards becoming an independent country. And the reality is that if they do end up being successful, it could have major repercussions, also particularly for people here in South Africa. Albertan nationalists are currently making inroads and have taken the first steps to ensure self-determination for their Albertan people. They launched a citizens' initiative to gather support for putting the issues of Alberta, separating it from Canada, to a constitutional referendum. The petition, which cannot be signed online but can only be signed in person by people with residential addresses in Alberta, has already passed the threshold of 178,000 signatures required to force an independence referendum, 1 month ahead of the deadline set. And so, with another month to go, advocates for an independent Alberta already has enough support to force the government of Alberta, led by the provincial premier Danielle Smith, to call for a constitutional referendum on this particular issue. But why does Alberta, which has been a province of Canada for over 120 years now, want to become an independent country? Stay tuned, because in today's video I'm going to highlight how and why exactly Alberta's fight for freedom matters to us here in South Africa so much. Alberta was once part of what was known as Rupert's Land. During the 18th and 19th centuries, this was a continental estate of nearly 4 million square kilometers, controlled and ruled by the Hudson's Bay Company, a British-founded trading corporation established by Royal Charter in 1670 to control commerce in the Hudson Bay watershed of North America. For more than 2 centuries, this company served as the governing authority over vast territories that would later become Canada. In 1867, the British Parliament passed the British North America Act, which united the 3 separate territories of Canada, which is Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, into a single British dominion called Canada, with Alberta. This is how the country of Canada was originally formed. In 1870, the government of Canada purchased this land still controlled by the Hudson's Bay Company and reorganized it as the Northwest Territory, administrative regions created by the federal government of Canada. In 1905, the Canadian government passed the Alberta Act, which created the province of Alberta out of the Northwest Territories and Alberta, which has been a province of Canada ever since. Alberta is Canada's 4th largest province in terms of population, and its 3rd largest by GDP, which makes Alberta stand out, as it is in fact the richest territory or province in Canada, and that its GDP per capita is by far the highest in Canada, at around 72,000 Canadian dollars per person. Demographically speaking, Alberta is also made up of around 70% people of European extraction, with around 7% of the population made up of Inuit, Métis and other peoples who claim to be indigenous in Canada. Interestingly enough, the greatest opposition to Alberta's independence at the moment comes from these people, of course. This is because, ironically enough, their treaties are not with the province of Alberta, but with the colonial authority established under the British Crown in the United Kingdom as Canada. The leaders of these tribes argue that if Alberta were to separate, its government would gain legal authority over their lands, and that they would prefer to remain under colonial rule. They are now trying to force the courts to stop this referendum from ever taking place. Yet the irony in all of this couldn't be more striking. These very same leaders who now want to stop Alberta from holding an independence referendum also regularly call for decolonization of laws and governance, and for dismantling colonial structures in Canada. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada has also expressly framed Canada as a colonial system and called for structural change to the country. Yet, today, now that Albertan people actually seek freedom, these same people are suddenly holding to colonial structures as if they are sacred and absolutely set in stone. And the reality is that even if Alberta were to split from Canada and become an independent country, it could still keep the relevant treaties intact if it stops short of opting for a republican form of government. All of this, the history of Alberta, as well as the latest political developments leading to the upcoming independence referendum to be held this year, is highly relevant for our peoples and our struggle here in South Africa for self-determination, for a number of reasons. Historically, Alberta, like the Western Cape, was ruled by a private company for centuries before assenting to political union. The Canadian people suffer from a very same legacy of colonialism that we here in South Africa do, with their country being an imperial construct which has forced together diverse people groups such as the British, the French, the Inuit and the Metis into one imperial political construct. The desire of the Albertans to be independent correlates with many of the reasons people advocate for Cape or Afrikaner independence here in South Africa, such as the issue of demographics and unfair tax burdens placed upon productive segments of the population to look after the unproductive. Alberta is also by far the most conservative province in Canada, whereas the Canadian government and governments of other provinces are internationally renowned for pushing the most woke agenda imaginable. Alberta is the only province in Canada where conservative politics dominate, making Albertans much closer to Middle America in their religious views, political positions and social viewpoints than the rest of Canada. This is very similar to Afrikaners who have largely remained steadfast in their conservative and Christian convictions and who are also increasingly, like Albertans, striving towards independence. In fact, in a recent survey conducted by Ground Control Research, it was found that 37% of Afrikaners now strongly support full self-determination, which would entail secession from the Republic of South Africa. For perspective, this places support for an Afrikaner Republic now at virtually the same level of support as for major civil rights organizations such as AfriForum. For Afrikaners striving towards increased self-determination and especially for an independent republic, such as that is advocated by the Orania movement, or for people advocating Cape independence, what happens with Alberta over the next few months could be highly significant to set a precedent for us here in South Africa. South Africa and Canada operate broadly within the same constitution and common law traditions, and the legal challenges faced by the Albertans in their struggle for freedom are hurdles that are generally highly relevant to what we encounter here in South Africa. As such, we here at the Willem Petzer Group will continue to follow these developments in Alberta and Canada and keep you, our viewers, well informed with regards to exactly how this impacts our own fight for freedom here in South Africa. Check out our recent video in which we explain why the ANC's own foreign policy and views of colonialism actually logically necessitates Cape independence. Simply click on this link appearing on your screen right now. And do remember that you can become a paying member of the Willem Petzer Group. Invest in us to continue making videos such as these every single day. Simply follow the easy steps on the banner underneath me. Goodbye and God bless.